What's up, guys? Today I'm bringing you guys a more serious Salvajee Speaks, and I want to talk about, suicide, suicidal thoughts, just dealing with deep depression, all of that stuff, because it's something that I don't really talk about much, and it's something that honestly it's my duty to talk about it. Being someone that had suicidal thoughts in the past, like I said on a previous Salvajee Speaks once, one time. There was a time in my life where I was like, you know what? I have so much pain around me, and I might as well take my life like that. All this pain is just over with. And also, I had a grandma that pretty much committed suicide because she pretty much believed that her life was just fully depressing and she really had no reason to live. So I do consider myself to be pretty qualified when it comes down to, talking about suicide and suicidal thoughts. I want to share with you guys what I believe to be the number one key thing to prevent all these suicidal thoughts, and, to the number one key thing that you guys need to combat your depression or, the stress that you might be dealing with and all that stuff. I was talking to my friend Javier earlier today, or my friend Chino, and he was telling me about how the lead singer of Linkin Park committed suicide. And here was this guy, he had so much money, he had so many fans that loved him, and he killed himself. And also the same thing with Robin Williams. He was this guy that had money, and here was this guy that had a lot of fans, and he also killed himself. And pessimists and stupid people, they're just gonna say, oh yeah, that just goes to show that money doesn't buy happiness. But that's not the point of this video. Alright, the point of this video is that the reason why people like Robin Williams and the lead singer of Linkin Park committed suicide, guys, it's because of one reason. It's because they isolated themselves. And that is the number one key thing that you guys need to avoid when you guys are dealing with tough obstacles, when you guys are dealing with, tough situations, when you guys are dealing with depression, when you guys are dealing with suicidal thoughts. You cannot isolate yourself, all right? In fact, there's a book called The 48 Laws of Power, and one of the laws of power is don't isolate yourself. Because if you're in a fortress that's surrounded by a vast open land, you're pretty much very, very easy to take out. Anyways, a long story short, the reason why you guys don't want to isolate yourselves is because just as the human mind is powerful, and just as the human mind can give you a lot of things like motivation, inspiration, the hunger to keep on going, just as the human mind can give, the human mind can also take. When we isolate ourselves, we can drown ourselves in our negative self-talk. And this is something that my grandma did. My grandma, she would just always be depressed. She didn't want to share her depression with anybody. And the reality is that, all of the people around her, all of the people in my family, they were so weak-minded that they were never even able to change her mind. And that is why I take responsibility for her death. Listen, everyone is responsible for their own actions. I'm not saying that it's my fault that she died, but I am saying that I do take responsibility for her death. Alright, because it just goes to show that if you guys are not a mentally strong person, it can also impact the lives of people around you. Which is why I make Salvajee Speaks in the first place. I make Salvajee Speaks to train you guys to be mentally tough. Because mental toughness not only helps you, but it also helps the people around you. If I would have been the person that I am today, my grandma would have not killed herself. And that is why it is my responsibility to bring you guys this video. Whenever I'm dealing with a big obstacle, whenever I am feeling depressed, which doesn't really happen often, but it does happen from time to time, or whenever I'm just feeling stressed, what I do is I talk to my friends about it. And again, that is the number one key thing that you guys need to do when you're dealing with deep depression, when you're dealing with depression, when you're dealing with stress, when you're dealing with suicidal thoughts. You need to talk with people about it. Because if you don't, you're just going to give in to your negative self-talk. And we know what that negative self-talk is. It's the self-talk that says you're not good enough. It's the self-talk that says you're never going to make it. You might as well kill yourself because things aren't going to get better. Because honestly, those were my suicidal thoughts. I remember, back in the day, I would tell myself, oh, you know what? Things are never going to get better. And, I might as well just kill myself to end all this pain. But the reason why why I didn't kill myself, the reason why I never ended up killing myself is because I had people to talk to about it. I had a psychologist that I talked to, I had a therapist that I talked to, and most importantly, I had my mom. She was able to help me out a lot through that tough time in my life. All right, and another thing that I just want to say in this video, for all of you guys that are listening to this video, and for all of you guys that are going through tough times, let me just tell you something. And this is tough love right here, all right? But let me tell you, it could be worse. Your situation could be 10 times worse. Your entire family could have been murdered. All right? Like, you could have lost 2 legs. You could have lost your ability to speak. Like, take a look at yourself right now. Are you healthy? Do you have eyes? Can you hear? Can you chew? All right? Can you speak with other people? Can you communicate with other people? Because there are people out there that they don't have that stuff. There are people out there that can't speak. There are people out there that can't see. There are people out there that don't have any legs. All right? And you're here drowning yourself in your depression. Stand up. All right? Another thing that I want to say is that we can only be what we give ourselves the power to be. I can't help you escape your suicidal thoughts. All right? You can talk with other people about it, and that is going to help, but you are the one that has to make the decision that your life is worth living. You are the one that has to decide that you want to accept help. Because even though, people talk to Robin Williams, or even though, people talk to the lead singer of Linkin Park, right? At the end of the day, he still took his own life. And you know why? Because at the end of the day, we can only be what we give ourselves the power to be. My family talked to my grandma a couple of times. Sure, they weren't strong-minded like I am right now. But the point is, she didn't want help. She didn't want to escape those suicidal thoughts. And I just want to let you guys know one thing. Your life is worth living. If I would have taken my life years ago, I wouldn't be making this video right now. If you give up your story. And your story can inspire a lot of people. And all I got to say is that if you got suicidal thoughts, you got to overcome those thoughts. If you got suicidal thoughts, you got to overcome those obstacles. You got to overcome that depression so that one day you can inspire someone that is in your position. Remember, guys, we're all in this earth for a reason. I didn't take my life. And since I didn't take my life, that led to the after effect of me being at this moment inspiring you and telling you to deal with that depression, deal with that stress, deal with those suicidal thoughts, overcome them, so that one day you can tell your story to other people, so that one day you can inspire and motivate people that are dealing with the same depression or the same suicidal thoughts that you guys are dealing with. Remember, guys, we can only be what we give ourselves the power to be. So choose life. It's funny because when my life was complete shit, and when I was going through a terrible obstacle in my life, this cop approached me and she said, honestly, it's going to get worse before it's going to get better. But I can guarantee you one thing, it will get better. And guess what, guys? She was right. She was definitely right. So with that said, remember, guys, don't isolate yourself. Talk to your friends about your obstacles, about your depression, about your suicidal thoughts. And if you're dealing with suicidal thoughts, I'm going to leave the Suicide Watch Reddit in the description below, as well as the suicide hotline phone number that you guys can call, of course, to seek some help. Also remember that things could be worse, and last but not least, also remember that we can only be what we give ourselves the power to be. So choose to rise up. Choose to overcome those thoughts. Choose to overcome that depression so that one day you can inspire people that are in your position. See you guys on the next one, and thank you very much for watching.